As a disclaimer, the Castle Grayskull playset featured in today's video was given to me for free by Mattel. I hope you enjoy the review.
By the power of Grayskull, I command the jaw bridge. Open!
Hello everyone, I'm David Clark and welcome back to the second half of this review of Mattel's new Masters of the Universe Origins Castle Grayskull playset. In the previous video we explored the playset's packaging. Now let's open it up and see what's inside. Alright, the castle is fully constructed, and now let's have a look at the accessories that came in the box. Starting with the training tool. Yes, this is the updated training tool accessory, and yeah, you know what? I am, out of all the accessories, I think this one is one of the most impressive updates. You can see I'll bring you the side by side with the vintage one, and you can see, yeah, that vintage head, it's flat as a pancake, and it's just that cutout. And this is a very nicely sculpted boar's head. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. Kind of makes me wish there was a He-Man figure with a boar for a head, you know? Yeah, very nice. And it feels very solid, you know? I don't think that's... It doesn't feel hollow anyway. And yeah, the other end is a fist, a very square looking fist, you know, with some spikes on the knuckles. And here's what I guess you could describe as a fist on the end of the vintage one. So yeah, very impressive update. You can see it's got the same pattern on either side, and this one has more of a, real hollow feeling to it. And of course the top of the tool pops out very easily. Whereas this one, once, this one is snapped on very, very well. I mean, it's not going to fall off by any means. So, yeah. And let's look at the base. See? You can see here we've got a 3-leg design on the vintage one, which it has a bit, it's got some nice detailing in here that I like. And here's the modern take with 4 legs, so it's sturdier. It's not bad. It's a little different. And you can see it's just thicker, I mean, of course it's hollow, but it's just a bit thicker. So it's definitely sturdier. It certainly feels quite a bit heavier. This one feels paper thin. It's light as air. All right, let's look at the laser cannon, which it looks pretty big to me. Bring in Sorceress here to kind of give you some scale. Yeah. Here's the vintage cannon right next to it, which has kind of a darker, dirtier, well, maybe it's just because it's a little dirty, but yeah, it's a bit of a darker plastic on the vintage one. And also, so much of this castle is symmetrical that, yeah, it's a bit of a surprise that they went with this, putting the barrels together, whereas I very much prefer these barrels separated. It's got the piece here in the middle. I just really like this vintage design over this one, which you can see it lacks the detail. It looks so flat. It almost reminds me of something out of the movie Tron or something. Just very simple. And one thing I really do like is the legs. You can see here it's 2 legs in the front, and it's just 1 flat piece in the back. Whereas this one came with the 2 legs and then the 3rd, and you actually had to, it doesn't do too much in the way of, again, stability, and the way that you connect it to the vintage castle is a bit awkward. So yes, this is very nice in that it's a very simple peg. You just plug it right in there, nice and snug. And so the base I definitely consider to be an upgrade, just not the top. And ever since I saw this set, I wondered if you could just swap the top of the laser cannon for the old one. Might as well try. I mean, I don't know. So this came, as I recall, this came fully constructed in the box, but without much effort, you can pull off the top. See? Okay, let's see. Which way does it go on? Oh, yeah. It's just really, it's not quite wide enough. I mean, if you squeeze the top, even then, if you squeeze the top really hard, then you can make it sit on the top like that. Otherwise, it's just not wide enough, because of course it wasn't designed to do that. I'm sure that you could customize it so that the base is compatible. It's not too far off, really. So yeah, I really enjoy the base of the new one. I much prefer the top of the vintage one. All right, let's switch to the ladders. Yep, here's the vintage ladder on top and the new ladder on the bottom. The new ladder is much thicker. So it's much more stable. I think that's the ongoing theme here. Is the accessories are they just kind of make more sense structurally, because you really couldn't do much displaying your figures on this. It's so fragile and it bends. It's so thin, but you can do a lot more with this sturdy base. And I thought that this would be quite a bit shorter than this, but no, they are. I would say they're identical in height. I'm surprised by that. So yeah, I much prefer this new ladder, which I kind of thought that I wouldn't prefer it because it's so wide that it gives it kind of a squat look. It kind of makes the whole set look a bit smaller, I feel like. But that's okay. That's all right. Yeah, much better. All right, now let's look at the flag. And you might notice that I put the flag sticker on backwards. And so if I did put them on correctly, then it would match the vintage flag. Why I did this is because I wanted it to match the classics flag. See? Yeah. One other thing I wanted to mention about the flag is that the Mattel designers were very smart to make the two pegs for the cannon and the flag the same size. So you can easily swap the two if you wanted to display them on the opposite sides. Of course, we want to talk about the weapon racks. I will again bring in the vintage one for comparison. And I personally prefer the nice yellow on the vintage one, even though it should be brown for wood. Just, because of the nostalgia. So it would be nice to have a yellow version of this. Although, I don't have too many nice things to say about this new weapon rack. You can see, even compared with the vintage one, it's so small that it's kind of like a McDonald's toy version instead of having the nice pegs on here. With this new weapon rack, where instead of pegs, they're just these little bumps to give you kind of the sense of pegs. And what you end up with in reality is just 3 little clips for you to clip the weapons onto them. Kind of like something you'd see in an even smaller, an even younger child's toy. There it is. And it does come with a very small gap here for the shield, If I take the weapon from the vintage set, it's not going to fit in there. Certainly He-Man's Origins shield is not going to fit in there, so very odd. And look at here. It comes with this very thick peg here. And makes me wonder what that's for. I guess you could put the gun here. Yeah, that works. Okay. And also, look at that. There's a little hole here. I wonder. Yeah, that works really nicely, actually. You can display the gun right there. But yeah, not really a fan of these clips, even though it does, of course, technically keep the weapons on there. And notice you really don't get many weapons with this set. You get 4 total. What you do in exchange, I guess, is what you get is this second rack, which is, it's nice looking. It's got a eagle motif, sculpted very nicely. Functionally, I guess it's a bit questionable. All you can do is really set the weapons on top like this. I think it looks closer to like a book rack or a spice rack. Not really a weapon rack. Doesn't do it for me. So, yeah. There, and it's a shame that we didn't, that this is the trade-off, that we get this instead of a proper weapon rack. And what we also don't get is this weapon rack, which came with the vintage playset. Of course, back then it was just a plastic, or not a plastic, like a cardboard cutout. And this is a replica, of course. But yeah, I was really hoping that we would get something more like this, if we were going to receive any kind of new accessory. Yeah. Something that Mattel left out of this playset, and they did actually a really good job of making sure everything was included otherwise, is the spacesuit accessory. This is a fan favorite, and yeah, a lot of people were bummed, myself included, to see that they left out that accessory. I was really hoping for at least something we could stand against the wall, and ideally I was really hoping for an articulated action figure. And but newsflash, we just got this in. Mattel is offering a spacesuit as an exclusive offering for the PowerCon convention, and it's an actual figure. Look at this. It's a Secrets of Grayskull set that you can buy. It's only $30. And look, it comes with not only the spacesuit, which looks beautiful. It looks, very much like the vintage design from the cardboard cutout, but you also get this 3D dungeon piece with some kind of interesting tentacle coming out of it.
I am summoned. One must enter the Forsaken Realm.
And then you get the Spirit of Grayskull, another super iconic image from Masters of the Universe, seen in the vintage comic books. And so, yeah, I'm thrilled that they're actually planning to include the spacesuit. I really, really hope that they give us the spacesuit as a retail offering down the line here, maybe next year, because not everybody will be aware of the exclusive set. I'm sure it'll be very valuable on the secondary market. So yeah, I hope that everybody gets a chance to buy this one. Look at how wonderful this piece is. It's an actual articulated action figure. This was at the top of my wish list for toys this year. I'm so thrilled. And look at what they did with this figure. You can see just how close it matches the original design. You get the lines on the thighs. You get the pink gems on the waist and the arms. You even get the rocket weapon that's attached to one of the arms there. Some orange, not exactly the same design, but you do get some orange in the shin there. And you've got the tube leading out of a box on the chest to the helmet, and on top of the helmet you see that other tube coming out of there, and then the pink piece at the top of the helmet. And yeah, this really hits a lot of the marks from the original design. So yeah, I'm thrilled. And it is very interesting to see that it looks like it has green translucent hands. So yeah, very interesting. Almost as if the Spirit of Grayskull fills the suit, inhabits it or something. But yeah, I'm just so happy that they're giving us this option. I'm definitely going to buy one, of course. One thing we did receive is the computer that you see next to the spacesuit, and here it is. It attaches right to the wall, as you saw, and it's very, very colorful. And I'm really thrilled that we did receive it. And here is the other computer that comes with the playset. Very, very nice. I love the sculpt, and the sticker is actually pretty impressive too. And for comparison, here is the original computer that came with the vintage castle. Yep, it was just another cutout. A beautiful illustration by Rebecca Taylor, the wife of Mark Taylor. And you can see just how similar that is. Look at that sticker. You've got the planet here and the planet, just like in this piece. And here's the updated elevator for the Origins playset. I'm happy that it looks so close to the original one. You can see this ends up being pretty floppy, I want to say. I liked that with the Classics Castle, the elevator would stay put, you know. But with this one, it definitely wants to just slide down, and then you have to make use of the piece on top to pull it up to the top. And see, you could actually make use of this here to keep it up on the second floor. I'm not sure if it was designed intentionally that way, but you know, it could work. Well, it could work a little bit. But I do like how they did update the elevator a bit right here. You know, the post, or this piece here coming across, so it's just, you know, it's much easier to use the rope. Yeah, I like that. And this is actually screwed in here, which is nice. Whereas the old elevator, it had a, you know, a part where you would push in, but then so often the elevator would break. And yeah, again, this is another feature that adds to the stability of the playset. Very well done. All right, looking at the floor pieces again, you can see that it has, I would say, kind of a, you know, based on the scale of this pattern, it has kind of a cartoony design, I want to say. And the floor, let's see how well I can show you this, but the floor, just like we had problems with the old castle, this floor piece seems to be kind of going downward, a downward slope, right? And so if you lifted it up like this, then it would be proper. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's not the most sturdy thing in the world. Of course, when it closes up, this piece folds in, just like the vintage castle folds in underneath here. And here's a quick comparison between the Origins throne and this is the vintage one. The stickers are very similar, and the sculpt is incredibly similar. Really the only difference, well, big difference, is at the top. Whereas this is a very simple design. This has a three-pronged look to it, which is closer to the throne in the Classics Castle and in the vintage prototype. And so I like both. I kind of feel like this design looks a tiny bit like, it reminds me of Transformers, if anything. But otherwise, yeah, the color is very nice. Super close. The color is super close. I really appreciate that. You've got that magical rug, that trap rug. Here we go. Just like the old one. Haha! Right into the dungeon. I love it. And speaking of which, here is the original carpet and the new one. Very close. All right, a few more things I want to show you. I'm not a fan of this new design. The old design laid, if this is vertically, then the old design is horizontal and is quite a bit bigger than this sticker. The sticker is not bad. It's, of course, the dungeon sticker on the castle is so nostalgic that it's hard to accept an upgrade like this, an update. Although I am a big fan of Nate Barch's dungeon sticker that's in the Classics castle. But yeah, this is what I really wanted to point out, is the fact that they put this indent, this rectangular indent in the floor, so that you would know where the sticker went. And of course there's this, and I'm seeing here, there's this pattern in the floor that if they just continued on the pattern, I'm seeing now that it would be pretty impossible to attach the sticker right on top of this bumpy pattern. And so I guess they would, in that case, they had to have put some kind of indent here to make this space flat. So I'm understanding now the justification for that. Yeah. I was really hoping to take a vintage sticker and just replace this one, but now I'm not sure. I'll if I wanted to leave this sticker off, I would just have to basically create a smaller version of the vintage sticker to attach to this space. Yeah. This is a really nice touch. Look at these cloth banners that come with this new play set. The design's beautiful, very reminiscent of the ones from the vintage castle. You can see one here with the purple. And what I really love is that you can see it's got these two cutouts here, and so if you want, you can move these flags. Let's see, how easy is it to remove? Very easy. There you go. So you can actually move these around to different parts of the castle. So you can move them where? Under here, on the left side if you want. You can even put them down here. And where else? Under the carpet right here. It'd be cool to get an accessory pack for Castle Grayskull that had more of these flags, and a spacesuit, of course. But yeah, that is so cool. It really adds a lot to the castle, I think. And just like the vintage castle, the castle can be folded, can be closed. And with this one, it's got some connector points right here and down below here, and it's got these handy hooks that connect from underneath, just like the very nice Classics Castle playset does. I like that Mattel learned something from that castle. I'm sure they learned quite a bit. So you can, there you go, just close it up. And there it is, Castle Grayskull, the outside. Let's zoom in and have a closer look at this. And so first, these parapets is what they're called on top. I think it makes the castle look more castle-like, since the parapets on the vintage castle were totally flat on the top. One thing I'm not really keen on is this giant dome. This thing is so massive on top compared with the vintage castle. I'm not a fan of that. And moving down, you can see that they removed the wood texture from the two slats underneath the dome, as well as the wood texture underneath the window on the right side. This castle has huge eyes. It took some getting used to. I think they look okay. It's a very nice sculpt for the eyes, and the nice black paint that's been applied to the playset makes it look very nice. Same with the nose. Yeah, I can definitely get used to that nose. Probably one of my biggest nitpicks about this playset is the teeth. They're very pointy. They look very different from the vintage castle, which featured a nice, monstrous kind of gorilla mouth, a set of teeth. And yeah, these kind of look more like it's kind of a demon imp, perhaps, or an alien. Certainly with the texture right above the teeth, looks like something out of that movie Aliens. I'm just really not a fan of those teeth. In fact, I keep wondering how hard it would be to basically shave them down, to get a cast of the teeth from the vintage castle to try to transfer them over. I'm sure that would be quite an endeavor. But yeah, the teeth bother me more than anything else about the castle. Yeah. Another thing I should mention is that all along the outside and inside of this green shell are all these white flecks in the paint. And you can't remove them. You can't just scratch them off or something. That's built right into the plastic. And to me it just looks like a mistake. Like there was some mix up in the factory and somebody stuck a bunch of white flecks in the paint. Or either that, or it looks like the castle's been damaged. To me, perhaps the white flecks were meant to give it kind of a more mystical look, or more of a classic look. I'm not sure, but of course they're not. You don't see them on the vintage castle, and yeah, I'm very puzzled as to why they decided to put all these flecks in here. So it's between that and the neon green paint. I'm very, I've been preparing for it. Actually, I've been buying these paints, trying to think up exactly what color scheme I want to give it. Probably a more appropriate darker green, solid, kind of a single tone, maybe putting some other tones on top. We'll see, but yeah, I'm just really not a fan of the white flecks. And you can see here, where those neon green bits are on the castle, both on the parapet, the dome, right below, right on the lip, right above the teeth, which kind of makes the castle look like it's blushing. And then turning the castle around, you can see it at the top, along the top and right underneath the parapet. I almost wonder if perhaps, and this is just me speculating, if they intended the paint to come out looking different, but then when they worked it at the factory, that's just how it looked. Or perhaps they intended to have more color on it, and they had to get rid of a bunch of color just to reduce the actual cost of the castle, so that they could offer it at the $80 price point. I'm not sure, but something about how this castle turned out, to me anyway, it seems like it just really wants to be painted. So that's what's going to happen. I'm looking forward to sharing a video where I customize this whole thing. It's going to be great. I also wanted to look at the door and compare it with the vintage version of the castle. This one, again, could be, in comparison, seen as a bit cartoony, maybe. I do like that they have, the silver paint on there, and that it's a brown door. It's very nice. And you can easily paint it to look like the vintage door if if you want to be nostalgic and you want a green door. That's really simple. It's very interesting that the middle of the door, there's this green here, and the details pretty muted on this design compared with the old one. But overall, I'd say it really didn't come out looking too bad. It's not bad at all. How does Skeletor break into Castle Grayskull? That's very easy, using his power sword. This is the half sword that came with Skeletor. It works with the full sword as well. And you just put in the keyhole and that opens up the castle just like that, using a little spring-loaded button right here. Yeah. Nice and easy. Lock it up. I do appreciate that the castle, the prototype, with the prototype, this was going to be just brown, but they ended up making this two-tone. You've got the green plastic, yeah. Which I do really like the sculpt of these teeth here. Yeah, brilliantly sculpted. And here, very nice. And this looks kind of like a tongue. Ew. Yeah, well done there. Awesome. And last but certainly not least, here is the Temple of Darkness Sorceress figure that comes with this playset. I'm using a display stand that I will link to in the description of this video. I'll show you where you can get a set of them very cheap. And yeah, this shows us the sculpt of the Sorceress figure. I'm absolutely certain we will get a regular Sorceress figure with the standard colors that we would expect. The Temple of Darkness figure was, of course, inspired by her appearance in one of the Masters of the Universe vintage books. You can see, unlike the prototype, there's no gold paint on the forehead. It's all white. There is paint on the eyes here on either side. And on my figure, Mattel did a great job with the paint. Very pleased with that. And of course, it has the typical parts, the same knee articulation, same sculpt. Here's some unique sculpting here. And you've got the unique wing feature. So I'll show you that the wings fold down. They can be folded up. Very simple. I like that a lot. And I do like that these are translucent wings. Very nice. Very stylish. Yeah. So yeah, there is our first Sorceress figure. I'm looking forward to the regular one. The new Castle Grayskull playset adds a lot to this Origins toy line, and it's exciting to see everyone enjoying it and sharing it with their families. I would have preferred myself a few changes to the design so it matched the vintage castle a bit more, and of course the playset's beautiful box art. Maybe down the road we can get an updated version of the castle, just like we did with the 2000X Castle Grayskull playset. Time will tell. In the meantime, Mattel will be offering us a Secret of Grayskull playset to decorate our castles with, and I have no doubt that Snake Mountain is just around the corner. That's all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel to let me know you want to see more content. And as always, stay safe and good journey, everyone.